In this video, I'll be going over how you can create an app from an idea really fast. Now, I've already came up with an idea through extensive research. I've gone to Reddit and I've asked it to find me problems users on Reddit are experiencing in the certain niches. And so one of the problems I've landed on is specifically about AI is hallucinating. Now, if you don't know what AI hallucination is when it's basically when an LLM gives you a false response with very high confidence. There is no definitive fix to this. It's more of a systematic design fix in LLMs, which is why they have modules like retrieval augmented generation that allows them to pull external sources, but their general knowledge is capped to whatever they were trained on, and anything after that, they will most likely not have any data. So one thing I've come up with as an idea to negate that as a problem users might experience is you kind of have like this receipt app where you export GPT chat into the app and you check and pull up similar data or something similar as a recommendation. So specifically, this targets stuff like products, because GPT has now introduced this feature where you can ask it to recommend you a list of products. So find me some cologne brands actually. Right, as you can see, it's recommending me the products. Now I can go click on it and it'll literally take me to it right here, right? It's this new kind of engineered feature where the products are embedded into the chat, but this is based on GPT. Now, this is just an example. Something more niche down, such as something that was released on a specific month of this year, the GPT model might not know what that is, and it'll actually give something else as a false flag. And so all our app needs to do is it needs to take the chat, it needs to summarize it, and it needs to come up with a verdict if that thing is actually true what GPT said, if the product recommended is like aligned with what the user wants, and is it something that is real? If not, we recommend the user something else. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to design and prototype. So one thing I like to do is I like to define first what I think the app should look like. So for something of an app that, helps users, come up with maybe e-commerce decisions in like buying stuff, or just general like fact check stuff to ensure that what the model is saying is actually true, I think we need to do something that is replicative of these LLMs, right? So we see how smooth and clean the design is, right? If we take a look at Claude, I'd say is more similar, but it has its own unique UI feature, or it has its own like UI. However, looking at both of them, they still have that structured minimalism, cleanliness look, right? And so if our whole app is based on the premise of these LLMs, we need to make it so that our app visually depicts something similar in connection to these LLMs. So for our UI design, I think we should be going for something more clean and modern like this in general. And so with that in mind, with the direction of design we want, the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a clean website like Polar. Polar is this really clean website that does transactions like Stripe. And I really like how clean and minimal it is while it has that kind of creativity with it. So with that being said, I'm actually going to go to the Chrome Web Store and I'm going to head over and get the screenshot website, Go Full Page extension. What this allows me to do is it allows me to screenshot this whole website as one single screenshot. You see, this whole website wouldn't fit in one single screenshot. You would have to take multiple. With this extension, we can negate that. So I'm going to quickly add that to Chrome. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over here. Let me just get rid of these other tabs. I'm going to go over to the Polar website and I'm going to actually use the screenshot. So it's Go Full Page. So we're capturing the whole website. Perfect. All I'm going to do is I'm going to download this as a single image. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to ChatGPT or any other LLM like Gemini. I've given it the Polar website design image it's processing. All I'm going to prompt GPT is to extract the branding, the direction of cleanliness, the minimalism as a general prompt that can be applied universally to any thought. I'm going to tell it here. All right. So I've asked GPT to analyze the image carefully and extract key design decisions, flows, color palettes, icons, libraries, themes, images that captivate the minimalism, modernistic look that can be then applied to any other build universally in UI UX. GPT has now given me what I'd consider the system build prompt for design. So what I'm going to do right here is, this is going to be really long to paste in, but I'll just do it anyway. So yeah, that's quite long. We'll just leave it up here. So we're going to actually have that copied. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually skip the design and I'm going to go quickly over to prototype MVP. So I've told Claude that I wanted to instill the following design UI UX principles during the creation of our app. And it's that same exact thing that GPT gave us. So now this creates a groundwork for Claude. It knows the general design direction. So we don't need to worry about UI for right now. So Claude now knows what we want in terms of design, right? We want it to be replicative of the LLM's looks so that users can reference that, hey, that this is for GPT, this is for Claude, because it has that connection in design. So now this is where we actually go to design and prototype our app. So for our app, we want to build a landing page and an internal app dashboard with multiple pages as well as a working app. So those are the main two things we want to build that are going to be the really big chunks of our whole app. So we're going to start with the landing page first. So I'm going to ask Claude with our new design principles what that should look like. Okay, now I've given Claude this prompt. I've basically explained why we went for that direction as well as what our product does, right? So I've explained it, what our product is about. It's about basically fact checking GPT hallucinations, specifically with products, making sure it's up to date. I've also told it that our design principle stems from the similarity in looking with these LLMs when users use them on a day-to-day basis. So I've asked it now to give me a tailored prompt to create a landing page for these LLMs. Awesome. So Claude's given us a prompt for designing a landing page for TrustGPT, which is going to be our app. It's a fact-checking tool that verifies ChatGPT conversations for hallucinations, outdated product recommendations, and inaccurate claims. It's given us a strong direction. I really like the design style. So now you're probably going to be asking me, am I just going to paste it in to Claude Code? No, what I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to copy and paste this. I'm going to go back to our web. I'm actually going to go to this AI tool called Glamour. The reason why is because Glamour, I think, designs one of the best UI and UX that makes like really anti-AI generated designs. And what we're basically going to do is I'm just going to feed this prompt into Glamour and it'll generate us a better looking landing page than if you were to do it with other designs, right? And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this generate tab right here. I'm going to go on something like GPT 5.5, 5.5 Pro, and I'm just going to enter that prompt. And now Glamour will start generating me the landing page design. And let's take a look at how it actually does with its own harness. Okay, Glamour has done generated our design. And as we can see, the landing page, I think, is all right. However, I think it can be a bit more better. And I think that a lot of it's quite short. And I think the reason why is if you go back to our Claude Code prompt, it only covers like the basic stuff. I'm going to ask it to be more descriptive and animation heavy and retain modernism and use like really modern fonts. So I've asked Claude to be more descriptive on animations, add more sections, but retain the minimalism design as well. So I'm going to feed this back into Glamour. Okay, it looks like GPT has finished building our design and it has gone for a lot of content. In fact, there is so much content, oh my goodness. So let's take a look at it. So this is not really the modernism I wanted, but we can always fix this later. But we have our hero, and it really shows you a demonstration of how you just paste your OpenAI chat, right? So that's a good hero because it's captivating. All the user has to do is just paste their chat in. So that's a really good section. Wow, we have a lot of stuff here. So we're showing how, we're scanning if the thing is actually like real. We have some metrics. We have more. We have like this cool little like page where we show how it does it. We then have a grid, then more stuff, more animations. We have our marquee here. We have more chat, a lot of chat, FAQ, and finally the CTA. Now I think this is good enough. We'll just use this, but I'm gonna also ask it to give me a prompt for an internal dashboard using the same architecturally crafted prompt. Give me one for a dashboard. Make sure it's clean. So we're gonna ask Claude again for something similar. for our dashboard, right? So we now have our landing page design complete. So we can go here and check that off. In fact, I'll just add a screenshot of it right here. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we have our landing page now complete. Put it on here, but that's our landing page. Now all we need is our actual app. Our app dashboard specifically, that'll be our internals. So going back to Claude, it's giving the same prompt. So I'm going to come here now over to Glamour, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to copy the code component, and I'm going to give it right back to Claude Code. Claude has now finished designing our dashboard and our internal app. Let's take a look at what it actually made. So let's quickly... So while expanding, we can see that, we already have some sort of monetization, right? How many scans do you get per plan? You have a name of a workspace and the pages we have. We now have our kind of like data where we show the recent scans, active verifications going on, the user, and the command K palette. So it's starting point. We can then take this. I'm going to now give it back to Claude, and I'm going to say, here's the dashboard. Now, one thing Claude did is it didn't really feed the correct type of design we're going for. We wanted something like this. However, this has the same content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it, using the code of this, transfer over the modernism over to these designs, because we don't want these like blocky, chunky looking text. Because this really, in terms of reputation as a UI design, I wouldn't really take this seriously. We want it to be more cleaner and look cleaner as well, right? Claude didn't really understand to the fullest extent of what I really wanted, as we're using stuff like it went for geometric sense, which I never told it that. In fact, that's the whole reason why those designs have that weird sci-fi blocky looking font. But it's not bad. All we can do is just transfer over the design. So we're gonna go back and tell it, when you are done, refurbish designs. I've basically told Claude now to basically do a paint job of our designs with the clean modern design onto our current one. So I'm going to queue that up. So I'm going to queue it up, and now Claude's going to wire the dashboard, and now it's going to do the new look over. So we now have our internal app complete. So basically what we did for design is we take a website that we like in terms of the theme and UI design. We then screenshot it and then feed it into an LLM to extract key design principles. We then get a prompt that's formulated off those design principles. We then feed that into Glamour to make dedicated structured UI. We can then iterate on after. So Claude is currently finishing up wiring the dashboard after it's going to refurbish our current designs, and then we'll take a look at what Claude has actually built. Claude has now finished our dashboard design, so now I've asked it to I've given it the refurbishing task to align with the modernism, and now it's going ahead and it's actually creating the refurbished looks with the same visual, the actual better typography we should be using right here, right? What we need to do is apply the paint job, you could say, of this design aesthetic onto these two designs right here. So I'm going to actually delete these ones and then give the official ones once Claude makes it. So finally, all you need to do is to help them with your designs and start working on engineering features. That's really all you need to do to build an app in 2026, right? 3-step process in the most broad way possible. You do a bit of research first for your ideation, you then go to make your design, so then you can actually work on it visually, see what it looks like, and then you just refine from there, right? It looks like Claude has finally refurbished all our designs, so now I'm going to quickly ask it to run the server and actually see what it's actually done and how it looks. So yeah, we can actually ask it to preview, so yeah, it's going to have to run the dev server. We're on localhost 3004, and we'll take a look at TrustGPT. So as you can see, right, it's taken the designs that we made from this one right here, but it's applied this type of UI aesthetic layout onto that one. And so as you can see, right, we have a demo. So there's a really nice hero where you literally just paste it in, you'd verify it, and then you would like go to a sign up as soon as you verify it. Similar to what Lovable does, where if you go on your Lovable, right, they do something similar where they make it easy for you to actually do something, right? So create an app, it's going to go to your authentication to create an account, right? So TrustGPT would follow something similar to that, right? I have something like this. We have some more stuff. So you can see like it's more minimal and modern and cleaner, right? More minimal, modern, cleaner. Let's take a look at our sign-in. Should just go straight to the dashboard. It's compiling, but yeah, look at that. The UI, I'd say, is better looking than that blocky, like military grade looking UI and typography. And as you can see, there we go. Easier to take it. Replicative of how UI of LLMs are. The result, it looks more cleaner and modern, right? So like again, this is just a starting place. I mean, that was literally 2 prompts into Claude of actually building the app. The other stuff was just actually taking the other design it made and applying it onto this. And I mean, you technically just made this in 2 prompts, which as a result I think is pretty awesome. And you would just like iterate off of that. So just to record this, I'm just going to screenshot this and then going back. Let's go back to the landing page. Boom, there you can see we've literally made this in 2 prompts, all because of this tool was able to do the heavy lifting and making the stuff for us. So we don't need to go constantly back and forth initially on what we should think it should be structured like, right? We use ChatGPT to come up with this universal direction of UI and design. And with that, with Claude to give us the prompts, this is such an efficient way of actually building your app. You don't need to worry about design that much, and you can work on it after you've visually gotten what it looks like, then go directly into engineering and feature creation after that. That is basically it for this tutorial. I just wanted to highlight a really fast and efficient workflow on how you can create an app. If you're still hesitant or maybe unclear, I think the best time is now. Use some workflow that is similar to this that can really speed things up, right? You don't want to be taking too long on design. The whole point of creating an app, especially your MVP, is you want to really get it out there fast. So with something like Glamour that just instantly generates this for you, almost instantaneously, you negate that back and forth with Claude on design decisions on you don't really like this, where it just makes it for you with this structured prompt and direction from GPT, and as a result, you can get to your actual app and product faster, start working on actual core features. And that is pretty much it for this tutorial. Hopefully it was very helpful for you guys.